Hey guys, welcome to another session of Reading Between the Lines, or RBTL for short. This is the big day, guys. This is the big day. If you are in my Discord community, you know that like for a whole week I've just been like, Guilty Gear, it's coming. I've been waiting for this, and frankly, like just looking at these animated GIFs or GIFs, or however you want to pronounce it, they already look amazing. Based on just really quick here. Based on Baiken's S3, I feel that the animation's ported from the game. I don't think that Smilegate had to really like reanimate it. I'm not quite sure if someone can confirm that, but that's not really important. Either way, I told you guys this, that when I saw the Guilty Gear collab like being revealed, I'm like, oh man, the S3s, man, it fits, because if you take a look at the YouTube, their finishers and whatnot, oh man, it fits. And the thing is, that's how good it is. I can't even tell if this is ported from game or if this is actually redrawn. But for sure, I know that Baiken's I saw on YouTube before, because I haven't played like the newest Guilty Gears. Baiken's I've seen before, so I know that like that's familiar to me. So I think it's ported, because that's a lot of animation work for Smilegate to do. We don't know how much development time they had, but still. That's amazing. Like just modeling the actual heroes in their regular animations, like you see Badguy there, like just standing. That would already take a lot of work. So I mean, they did a like great job doing this. Hey guys, welcome. Croza Magamra giving shoutouts. Morning video. Yeah. So yeah, one thing is just like, I have to say right off the bat, it looks amazing. You know, no complaints from me here. I just knew that Smilegate is really smart, you know, Epic 7. They made a really good decision making this collab, because even if you never played Guilty Gear, it just really looks like they're part of the same universe. It's believable. Like if someone didn't know that they're from different games or this is a collab, it's believable. So that's really cool. Anyways, let's get to it. So apparently Badguy is, as you can see on his belt there, says free. Apparently he is the free hero. So all the speculation for 2 weeks now, everybody's just like, oh man, I think he's the free hero, man. And I'm just like, no man, he's the face of the game. Like, how can you be free? It doesn't matter which side you stand on it. At least we know for sure he's a free hero. But the amazing thing is, and I did some light reading on Discord this morning. I feel like the general consensus is that for the unit kit wise, Badguy seems to be the one that everyone's kind of like pretty hyped for. So in a way, I'm very thankful that they didn't really botch a free unit. You know, I didn't want another Xeno kind of thing, where Xeno was like kind of cool, the kit was kind of cool, but he just like, no one uses them. Now, I don't think we have any stats on like the base stats or whatnot, but I'm assuming he's going to be pretty decent. Warrior, as everybody kind of assumed him to be. Baiken as a thief, everybody assumed her to be, which kind of just falls in line with exactly what we wanted. Fire hero as well on this. Just keep in mind that the imprint is a defense %, but that doesn't really matter since it's free. So you want to be pulling for multiples anyway, so that's at least free, no use for your resources. We could take a quick look at the skills. I took a look at it, and you know, I really do think that from a kit perspective, like I said, Badguy would seem to be the better one, especially for PvP scenarios and GVG. Did take a look really quick here. Oh, what? The stats are already released? Oh, interesting. Okay, so someone is saying that Zakazed was saying that stats are like Chloe. His stats are like Chloe, and Baiken's like Says. Well, okay, that makes Baiken pretty strong. That makes Baiken pretty strong, actually. Are they exact or are they similar? Hey, Pikachu, welcome. And Badzilla. Alright, so let's take a look at the S1 as these guys are updating me here. Stats are on the website. Oh, I see. Probably not here. Okay, let's do a discussion of the skills right now. So S1 Gun Flame attacks an enemy with a fire pillar. Damage dealt increased if the enemy isn't buffed. Gains fighting spirit when a critical hit is made. It seems that at least for both of them, like the critical hit is pretty important for both builds, which can be tough to manage, I guess. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a bit. Passive is the S2, counters and silences for 2 turns when an enemy uses a non-attack skill or when the caster is attacked by an elite or boss monster. So even just with this description itself, you can tell that his usage, it can be used for boss fights, obviously, but also for PvP. I see him more of a PvP guy. I probably would try to use him, but you know, giving that little niche that it does it counterattacks and silences for 2 turns for against elite or boss monster if the caster is attacked, it's kind of cool. But from my knowledge, most bosses are not silenceable. So, but elite bosses or elite monsters are. So that's kind of good to have. But regardless, it's a counter attack. So you get an additional attack every time the caster is attacked without a counter set. That's kind of interesting. Damage dealt proportional to the enemy's max health. Okay, that's very cool. And then I can only activate once every 2 turns, so it doesn't always work, obviously. Roaming cancel. This is one that I was reading before. I was kind of get my mind around it. I asked the guys on Discord, and they kind of gave me like a summation of what's going on. So it would seem that you can only gain fighting spirit from the S1. So every time you use the S1, so if you do have like, let's say, a counter set on him, you can get your S1 faster. Now I'm not quite sure if there's information on how much fighting spirit is gained per S1 used, where like for example like for Ken, we know it's 15 and he can get up to max 20, so 5 fighting spirit, but Ken starts out with 50 fighting spirit, so it's actually really quick to get him to use his S3. While his fighting spirit is used differently. It's used in his passive, 100 fighting spirit. So let's assume it's 20 fighting spirit per critical hit made on the S1. Let's assume it. Okay, if it's more, great. If you can upgrade it, that's even better. But basically, once it is at max, your gauge is filled up. At the end of any ally's turn, the caster consumes all fighting spirit before extending the duration of a buff and granted an extra turn. So extending the duration of a buff seems to read that it's only one buff. So it doesn't matter if you have multiple, and whether or not it's the first buff being extended or the last buff, I'm not quite sure. And being granted an extra turn, that's pretty nice to have. Now keep in mind that obviously, even if his fighting spirit is at maxed, and even if you counter on an enemy's turn and you get it to max, it doesn't proc until an ally's turn is over. So at the end of the ally's turn, he jumps to the front of the line and he is able to get an extra turn. Now an extra turn, obviously he can use his S3, he can use his S1. Most likely, I think you would probably want to save it for the S3. It's really nice because you can kind of time it. Let's say if you're doing it PvP or GVG and you're fighting the defense team, obviously it's AI controlled. You can control the timing of it, the outcome, to time your S3, which could really be a crucial like turning point in your battle. That's how I see myself using him. So if you take a look at the S3, we'll take a look at only the After Awakening. Cooldown is 4 turns, which is pretty good. But notice the soul burn is only 10. It's very cheap, and it ignores the effect resistance. So dispels an enemy's, dispels an enemy's all buffs with a strong. I think that's wrong. The writing. I'm assuming it reads dispels one enemy's all buffs. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. The language kind of doesn't sound like it makes sense, but I think it's a single target, but it dispels all buffs. Okay, making them unable to be buffed for 2 turns. Now, because there's no percentage mentioned here, it's already at a 100%. So really, you're only rolling against the effectiveness and effect resistance roll. So if you have high effectiveness and they have low effectiveness, you're gonna get it. You're gonna dispel it. And also makes them unbuffable for 2 turns. But the amazing thing is why I say that 10 souls is super broken is because you can get that a lot. So a couple things, let's say Clury, A-Cart, just come off the top of my head. They can ignore effect resistance and they can pretty much like, let's say, pin down a hero. Okay, so provoke and break on Clury's soul burn, and A-Cart's 100% stun and break, defense break. Now, those cost 20 souls. All right, so 20 souls, it costs way more. But 10 souls is actually pretty easy to get, especially when I'm saying that you're using him. Maybe you wait for his fighting spirit to go up, and there's a fortune cooldown on the S3 here. If you get his fighting spirit up in time, you'll most likely already have 10 souls, depending again on the team you run and how the turns are going. Most likely you already have 10 souls. So anytime you really want to like make sure something, like a make it or break it turn, let's say like even C Armin's invincibility and immunity, you can dispel it with a 100% proc rate, and soul burning ignores the effect resistance. So you go through it because it seems that the dispel comes first. So see, making them unavailable for, yeah, I think that's the case. So it's kind of like Assyria, but Assyria actually has the attack go first and then the dispel. So if she misses her attack, it's over. Now, the same thing will happen for Soul, because he's fire elemental. So if he was doing that like on a nice hero, let's say he's doing that on Diane, he's doing that on Angelica, there's a possible chance he can miss, and if he misses, none of that sticks, even if you ignore the effect resistance. So that kind of balances out. Yeah. Oh yeah. So these guys are on stream are saying that the counter is based on the HP scaling, so it's good against bosses. Yeah, high HP damage. Now, one thing, just in general, I think he has like a lot of potential to be very annoying, even on a defense team. And the reason why I say on a defense team too, again, if you do like set him up with counter, on a defense team he can be really annoying because of the fighting spirit gained. Because if he does Roman cancel, he gets an extra turn, depending on the AI. What skills they use on specific turns. Like, do they use the S3 right away? I'm assuming they would, because it also grants unbuffable. That'd be really good. And the thing is, like, you know, on a defense team, the AI controlling Soul Badguy, if you do bring in someone with a neutral element, so anything other than ice, someone with an earth element, it will target those. So obviously, you know, every single defense team you can bait, you can like counter the AI. But I'm just saying he's really annoying, just because you have to kind of, when you're fighting him, you have to manage his fighting spirit as well. As in, you have to time and make sure he doesn't do something crucial at a certain point. And to keep in mind that even if he is versing a weaker element, or a stronger element rather, he still has a 50% chance to land it, right? 50% chance to miss. So it's still really annoying. The only thing that they benefit from, you benefit from if you're attacking him on a defense team, is that he can never soul burn it. So if you have a really high resistance hero, it might not land, and again, then depends on how they set him up. But I can sort of see him being used in arena, both offensive and defensive. So I would say, you know, if someone didn't pull Charles, even though he's not an exact, you know, replacement, they share some attributes. All right, so they share some attributes, mainly the dispel aspect. Dispel is a really annoying aspect in the game, because you can't really stop it unless you have really high effect resist. Check the stats while you're still on Soul. Pinged you Discord. Okay, thank you, Aline. So these guys are awesome. All right, so are they the same link? It seems like the same. Okay, I'm gonna open it up here. All right. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I didn't even know that they had this. Sweet. All right, so Baiken. Oh, this is Baiken's. Okay, so this is Souls then. All right, so Badguy. All right, so defense. Okay, defense devotion is only on the top and the right, actually. So if you can get dupes of him, it's only the top and the right. So it's not too broken. It's pretty cool. Attack is a base attack. I'm assuming max awakened is 1,177, 5,500 health. 5,500 health. 119 speed though. Wow. Okay, 119 speed is actually amazing, and 27% critical hit chance. That's really good. That's actually really good. The only thing is the health is very low. 5,500. I feel like I just reviewed someone with 5,500 HP. I think it was Haste. That's about like Haste HP. Haste is pretty beefy for a thief, but I think that's Haste HP. It might be free SSS like Bosk. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. It's a 5-star though. But it would be, yeah, it would just be nice to deck him out, you know, because he's limited and he's free. Maybe like Fireken's build for Soul Badguy. Yeah, Soul Badguy is fast, but I think you're talking about Baiken. Yeah, 119. Holy crap, that is pretty fast for a warrior. What is that? That would be, let's see, if you have a speed, let's say if you have a speed set with a speed boot. My only question is, would you really want him fast? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm just thinking of like all cases here. The 190 speed is really nice, so even if you didn't go with speed set, but you had like some speed substats, that'd be pretty good. Like if you guys like watch my Ken video, you know that my Ken has a speed set, but doesn't have a speed boot, and I have a 169 speed. So imagine Soul Badguy with, but he has very, okay, so I wouldn't even advise giving him too much HP passive. So maybe a speed boot would benefit him more than HP boot. Or attack boot. The reason I say that is because his attack and HP is not super high, so the scaling, you're not gonna see it like, it's not gonna be like Ken, where Ken has like what, 7k HP base. So like when you pop a 60% HP main stat on him, that thing skyrockets, but you're missing about like 2,000 HP on Soul. So I would say then you kind of want to like funnel all of your stats into what is already the stronger base stat. So for himself, I think okay, Toph says he'll be at 189 speed with the speed set and speed boot. Interesting. Yeah, his HP is a bit too low, so I mean, I can see him probably being built about like, I don't know, 2,000, 2,500 attack. It can, I think with his stats, 2,500 attack is pretty fair. Try to get 100% critical hit. I would say maybe 90%, and then critical hit damage, you do want some of it. I don't think we have any mods on the skills at the moment. Nope, no mods yet. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's my thoughts for now. I don't want to spend too much time just theory crafting this. I think when I get the heroes, I can do I could do it more justice, talking about it. So let's move on to Baiken here. So Baiken, again, S3 animation, super awesome. Baiken as one of my favorite heroes or characters in Guilty Gear, but she isn't though. She's not my favorite, but one of my favorites. Let's quickly take a look. So when I was doing some light reading on Baiken, I was like noticing, I'm like, it feels like a copy pasted version of Kurin and Surin together, because the mechanics feel the same. But we'll get into it. Quickly, because of Aline's link here, I'm gonna read the stats. So if you do get her imprint, it's attack percentage on all four squares. So it's kind of good, but I would say attack percent imprints are not usually like super crazy. You might not, unless you're like Mega Will, I wouldn't recommend hamming for multiples of her. But I will talk about her on her banner discussion, because I do think that one has to pull a couple, even if you do get Baiken, for her artifact. But I'll get into that in a bit. Earth Elemental hero, it was kind of weird because I think a lot of people assume that she might be fire, but it kind of makes sense. So I'm assuming Dizzy, when she's released, she'd probably be ice, I'm assuming, just because just multiple elemental coverage, and because she has a lot of blue in her. I'm assuming she'd be ice, but I have no evidence for that. Base stats are really cool. 1228 attack. Okay, yeah, so someone's saying it's like says, I think it is, that even the health, 6266. So you could build him kind of like, you can build her rather, not him, what am I saying? Build her kind of like, you could go with multiple directions here. You do need the critical hit chance to really benefit. I would say the critical hit damage, again, depending on her mods, might not be as important because she really is a bleed. She wants to bleed people. But building her kind of tanky, kind of like Violet would be good. His Violet shares similar stats to Says too. If I'm not mistaken, I think they might be even identical stats too. But Violet has like insane high damage mods if you have his focus gauge up, which we don't have anything like that here on Baiken. But 100% critical hit chance, I would say was 100% necessary, but really high attack. So maybe scale really high attack, high health. She has pretty decent speed. I wouldn't, maybe still speed set, but maybe neglect this speed boot, again, depending on how you use her. But definitely focus on health. I think you really want to benefit from her base health there. Already 1000 health more than Soul Badguy. So that's pretty cool. And it's a 23% critical hit chance instead of the 27 that we get on Soul Badguy, which is nice to have. You know, no one's going to complain about that. So I'm assuming that's one... Oh, that's 1.3% and then 1.7%, I think. Yeah, okay, so 113 speed. Okay, so let's get into the kit here. So I'm done reading that website, I think. Wait, what? Someone was saying that on the vid they used Baiken on Banshee, 27k damage S3. Banshee what though? Banshee 11? Oh yeah. Adrigan Gonlano. Hey, you get a shout out. He says she's probably ice because of the side story event rewards. Of course, dope. Alright, so let me see here. And Drewer Bolt. Thanks, man. I got your message. Alright, so let's see. Okay, so attacks enemy repeatedly. Maximum of 70% chance to inflict 2 bleeds for 2 turns. Okay, 2-turn bleed. Very good. Critical hit will reduce the caster's skill cooldowns by 1 turn. So that aspect is kind of what reminds me of Corinne. And the Siren, of course, is the bleed aspect. 4-turn cooldown and a 7-turn cooldown for the S3. Okay, let's talk about the S2 first. So S2 is the one that you can get awakened. So up to a maximum 80% chance, and it's all single target damage, by the way. Single target is not AoE. Chance to inflict 3 bleed, effect for 2 turns. That's a ton of bleed. Holy crap. If you're stuck on Wyvern 10, let's say, or if you're hunting Wyvern 10, she'd be like absolutely monstrous for that one. I think more than Siren. 80% chance and 70% chance though. Just keep that in mind. It's not 100%. Critical hit will gain an extra turn. Alright. So that, again, that aspect kind of feels like Corinne to me. So ideally, again, critical hit is 100%. You need it at 100%. You don't want to have that little unlucky roll there. You want her to reduce her cooldowns ASAP. You want her to get those extra turns. So you can imagine just the S1, S2 combo can proc a ton of bleeds. Now the S3, I think it should be used, based on the reading here, it should be used at the end of more bleed damage. So more bleed stacks on enemy, then use the S3. But otherwise, it can still be used, I think, just for the combat readiness sake. So if you're using her for, let's say, PvP or GVG, and there's a turn where, you know, she's missing a turn, I think she can become like a pretty decent CR booster here. Critical hit increases the combat readiness of all allies by maximum of up to 25%. That's gonna be, I can guarantee you, that's gonna be a very expensive skill to enhance, but it might be worth it if you really love her. If you love to use her, it might be worth it. 25% is like Judith, like easily like Judith. but I'm assuming it's gonna be very expensive. Delivers deadly blow. Yeah, detonating any bleed effects inflicted on the enemy at the end of the turn. Now, this is where it's interesting. I'm gonna talk about this. There's a new mechanic in the game called detonate. The word used here is detonating any bleed effects afflicted on enemy at the end of a turn. I think that isn't part of the new mechanic. Anyways, I'll do a discussion on that in a bit. But I think this works more like Surin. But while Surin's S3, if you know it, it does more damage the more bleeds is on the enemy, but the damage lands at the end of her turn. So as in she finishes a skill and the damage is done. This one, it detonates any bleed effects inflicted on enemy at the end of the turn. So I think it's still her turn. So in that sense, I do think it is like Surin. All right, I'm not 100% sure, but because the way they use the word detonate there, that's what kind of confuses me. But I don't think that is part of the new mechanic. I think that's just describing what's happening. Because if you actually look at her S3, well, I'm gonna wait for this GIF to come back, or GIF. That, even though that's not really a detonation, you can kind of see it going like, poof, right? So is that the detonation it's talking about? I'm not quite sure. But regardless, Surin's S3 is like way worse in the sense that if it does a similar effect to Baiken's at least does the combat readiness boost. So even herself, right? So that's really good. It can get her 1/4 into the next turn. So it's pretty decent. And of course she has 113 speed. So that's not even that bad to work off of. She just won't be as fast as Soul Badguy, but you know, doesn't really matter. She brings a totally different dimension to her kit. I would say though, because of her S2 and S1 is not a 100% bleed proc, and because her S3 really benefits from the bleed, I really do think that she would really benefit from her own artifact. But I'm going to talk about that in a bit. So let me catch up on stream here a bit. You would use RNL. Yeah, okay, well, you kind of spoiled it. Zakazet spoiled it! Yeah, I was going to talk about it. I was thinking that, you know, because she's so similar to Corinne, I think RNL would probably be the best artifact on her. But we'll take a look here. If you can manage her to be very, very, very fast, while being able to maintain attack really high and your critical hit really high and high effectiveness, keep that in mind, because it's not 100%. You really don't want to roll that, you know, that chance where you don't roll it from the proc rate and then you don't roll the effectiveness roll. You don't want to risk that. So again, it's she's gonna stretch a lot of stats here. But if you can manage to get all those stats really good and really fast, her artifact might be really good for her, just because it can get up to 100% bleed. So anyways, we'll talk about that in a bit. It's interesting how they managed the artifact is after the Moonlight summons. I'm not going to go into depth on this. I don't have much of a change of thoughts. So I did a video on Sage Baal and Cezanne and Crescent Moon Rin. It was kind of an overview. I basically did exactly what they're doing in the animated GIF. Run through the hero's journal, previewed the skills, had a little discussion on it. Now I did receive some comments saying that, oh man, another like, you know, empty-headed YouTuber who doesn't understand how OP Sage Baal and Cezanne is. I don't know if anywhere in the video I said he wasn't OP. I was saying he was OP. One of my major complaints at the beginning of the video was saying that if they keep releasing Araminthas, like ML Aramintha and ML Sage Baal and Cezanne, it's going to be pretty salty, because, you know, unless you're Mega Whale or really lucky, you're not going to get them, and then so people are not going to focus on Arena. So that's just my thing. But yeah, so kind of shout out to that guy that said that, oh, another empty-headed YouTuber doesn't know how OP he is. Well, there you go. You probably didn't watch the full video. Anyways, you can tell how salty I am. Oh, it's like offended. Yeah, no matter what, I think people should be pulling for her. I think she's cool. Okay, she's really cool. Yeah, so people on stream are just like, yeah, I'm gonna be pulling her either way. I would pull her. I mean, a pity summon, sometimes you pull on a non-limited hero and they're on banner with the drop rate up and you don't even get them. So, you know, you may as well get it on a pity summon, right? It's really cool. Alright, so Junkyard Dog. This is a free artifact. So obtainable in the side story. Maxed up, you get 2 turns burn, but 50% chance. Not too spectacular in my opinion, and especially it's on a warrior. So on a warrior, it might be good, but I really don't see myself like really using it. I think there are way better warrior artifacts to control the match. So like Sigur's Scythe, even Uberia's Tooth, I kind of like it. So recently I've been using like Uberia's Tooth on my Surmia, for example, because Surmia has really high base attack, and you can get her attack really high, and she has the greater attack buff. So I mean, Uberia's Tooth procs like an additional attack based on your attack. So additional damage based on your attack. So because Surmia's attack is so high, like I would have that on her. Like Sigur's Scythe on Ken, and Ken already does burn, but like would you really get a max level, like use all those artifact charms, get a max level free artifact even though it is a 5-star for 50% chance to burn? One burn, keep that in mind, for 2 turns? I don't think so. I just don't really think so. I could be wrong though, but a 50% chance proc, and especially its max level, is way too low for me to think that that's worth it. Anyways, Torn Sleeve, this is our limited artifact. So apparently this artifact is limited. So unlike DN, where DN was a limited hero, but the artifact wasn't limited, this one's limited. So this is kind of where I'm kind of... Well, let's talk about the artifact first. I'll talk about it in the banner, my thoughts on it. So 100% chance if you max it, 100% chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns after a single attack. So inflict 1 bleed, so an additional bleed even on top of what Baiken herself can do. And because every single one of her skills can actually proc this actually becomes a pretty decent artifact. But again, like I said, it's only for her, I think, and other heroes that you really want bleed on. So even Corinne can benefit from it. I don't know, like Sid can benefit from it, I guess, but I really don't think that most of the thieves would probably be running like less attack but more crit damage, that I can think of. Like right off the bat, when I looked at this, I'm like, if it's not used for herself, I think Kisei could work with it too, because generally when people build Kisei, so Ice Kisei, she has 2 single target skills, but usually you want to build her with pretty high effectiveness, because reducing those cooldowns, or extending the CD skills for her S3 is really good, and if you can get a bleed on it, why not? So usually Kisei is built like with really high attack, because she has pretty high attack base, so you can really scale that up, and high effectiveness, so it could work for her too. But again, I just think that like RNL on Kisei is really annoying. Aliha's knife is really annoying on Kisei, so like would you use this? I'm not quite sure. I really don't think so. Vildred would just never benefit from it. So it's to each their own. If you want to get this, I think you really need to try to get it to a max enhance. So I would say this, if you're pulling for Baiken, and because you're gonna get her on the pity summon anyway, so after 605 bookmarks or 121 pulls, it's guaranteed you can get the hero. I would say if you're pulling along the way and you do get Torn Sleeve, I would say it's not super salty, alright? Because the thing is, you don't get a pity summon for the artifact. The artifact could be useful in the future. Who knows, like maybe 3 months down the line, Smilegate releases a thief that just benefits even way more with this artifact than Baiken herself. So if you're a new player, don't be like, I don't know, man, like I don't think this is good. I don't want it, or I feel salty about it. I wouldn't. So far what I've seen is that Smilegate's always like kind of like expanding the kit, adding new mechanics, as we're gonna discuss today too. You don't know what's gonna happen, right? So I would say in my own pull, when I'm pulling for Baiken, I wouldn't be salty if I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Torn Sleeves before I even get to the pity summon. But my question to myself is, if I get her on the pity summon and I never get this artifact, do I keep pulling on the banner to get the artifact? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure yet. I just feel that because it's limited, it makes me kind of torn. Haha, pun intended. Torn between the two. Like, what do I aim for the artifact and kind of get the hero on a guarantee? I'm not sure. So anyways, checked pics you post on Discord. Okay, so one sec, Aline. Above pics. Oh, I see, cool. Okay, so the pic. Oh, nice. So Baiken doing that damage on Banshee with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks of bleed. My goodness, what the frick? What the frick, man? Oh man. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. To each their own. I mean, if you don't want the artifact, you know, so be it. But I really do think because it's a limited artifact, I kind of want that more in my summons over Baiken. But I can tell you right now, I can predict this. I might get Baiken before I even get the artifact. All right, I think so. That's always how it works for me. It just always gives me the other thing that I don't want to aim for. Or yeah. Okay. Anyways, guaranteed summon. Yeah. So you can see the rules here. I'm not gonna go into that. That's pretty self-explanatory. So visitors from another world. Keep in mind again, this is a 1 month event with each week unlocking new aspects to the event. It's gonna be great. I can't wait to play this after the maintenance here. So up to May 22nd. All right. So at least we can be safe to say that there won't be any new, you know, canon, as in like new Epic 7 official heroes. We're just gonna be waiting for Guilty Gear, so everyone can have like a week, pull Baiken, and then just keep farming again. Keep collecting your Covenant bookmarks for when I'm assuming Dizzy is gonna be the next one to be pulling for, when they come. So let's see here. Main rewards that you can see here on the image. So Badguy and Artifact. So you get those for free. Each chapter is opened up each week. So 4-week event. I'm not gonna go through this. You guys can do that reading. I'm only gonna pick out what I think is important here. Let's continue on. Yeah, you do get more drops as you enhance these, but my experience is like it's not worth, especially Junkyard Dog, it's not worth max enhancing an event artifact. It's too much gold and too much artifact charms for you to sink in for like very minimal like payback return. So I would just say, you know, rather spend the energy and grind more of the event currency instead of actually maxing out Junkyard Dog. I made that mistake for like past 2 events that we had this, and I just never got any like rewards back really. I only got like 1 or 2 extra currency, which wasn't anything. So I would recommend, if you're a new player, don't do it. All right, don't be baited to do this. Okay, don't enhance it. If you get Torn Sleeve, feel free to enhance it because it's a limited artifact and you might use it. Who knows? All right, so yeah, so we get the rewards here. Yeah, so that's why someone was saying that Epic Frost Rune. That's probably why Dizzy is going to be what's it called? Ice. And a life rune for Earth. So no fire runes for Soul Badguy, but that's fine. Black Curse Powder, Horn of Desire, and Blazing Rage. Okay, so this is actually a really good thing too. So once you're done the event, at least you can start farming the story, the AP points, or AP rather, the AP adventure points. You can start farming for it right now. I know myself, I would need more Horn of Desire if I'm going to get Dizzy and start building her. So I'm gonna, I think right after I'm done the event for this week, I'm gonna start farming it. So that's something just to note. Let's see here. Reputation, they updated this. I would say this is cool. Gold Transmute Stone. A lot of people have been asking for this, and I don't know if it's because of the event or because Smilegate heard us, but Smilegate put it in this time again. So Gold Transmute Stone at the very end there, very good. For the past couple ones, I think we've only got Silver Transmit Stones, like maybe like 3 or something, 3 or 5, something like that. I mean, that's good, but everyone will say, hey man, where's the Gold Transmute Stones? And hopefully this changes because they heard us. But it could have just been because of the collab, you know, the collab hype. It's like once in a while, so you know we're not gonna get this a lot, so maybe it's because of that. But hopefully from now on, 1 Gold Transmute Stone, I mean that's 1/6 of a ML summon if you're going for that. It's not that much per event, so I mean they could definitely be more generous in that aspect. So anyways, I'm glad to see it there. So that's kind of cool. Special tournament will be available exclusively via the 2nd and the 4th week of the side story. To obtain event currency, token of the chosen, participate in the tournament. If you're victorious in the tournament, you will obtain rewards. Participate in the finals, beat other heirs, and obtain a variety of rewards. Ooh, beat other heirs. So is this a PvP aspect? Is there a PvP aspect to this? That's interesting. I not sure. We always get gold transmutation on the side stories. Zach is it. I don't think that's true. I don't think we got it on the previous one. Anyways. On some of them we did, but not for all of them. What I meant is like it would be nice for them to give it to all of them. Yeah, the big one. Yeah, okay, the big ones. Yes, we did get them. Yeah, so he sends DN and Xmas, Christmas, and then the roses may bloom one. Other improvements. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. Aline brought this to my attention this morning, and he was saying that this is a new mechanic. Did I do any reading? Did I do any thinking about it? After reading on this, I really don't know what to anticipate. At the moment, I don't think anyone can really know for sure what this will look like. So let's do the reading first and let's try to break this down. So a new battle effect, Detonate, has been added. So Detonate inflicts damage by activating any damage over time effects inflicted on the enemy. But the damage is proportional to the number of turns the debuff has remaining and the number of total debuffs on the opponent. Now, this is where language becomes a thing. In context, the total number of debuffs on the opponent should only be talking about the damage over time effects. But at the same time, if one is not really careful of the reading, and this is where I'm not 100% sure, is that does the number of the total debuffs also count if it's not a damage over time effect? Okay, so inflicts damage by activating any damage over time effects afflicted on an enemy. So if there is one, let's say one bleed, one burn, it would inflict damage, okay? But the damage is proportional to the number of the debuff has remaining. Okay, so the number of turns the debuff has remaining. So let's say it's a 2-turn, 1 burn, 2 turns, okay? And the number of total debuffs on the opponent. Does that total debuffs mean that it's only DOT, right? That's where I'm thinking, like, am I reading too much into it? Maybe I am. I'm assuming that the general... That mechanic is the picture you saw on Discord 2 minutes ago? Hold on one sec. Oh, the 8,900 damage? So is that not that's not the bleed damage? Oh, Baiken does have it. Okay, so Baiken does have it in her S3. Interesting. 9k damage is her initial S3. Okay, so how does that even look? Because so then you already know how it works then. Oh, 24k is the detonation? The picks are reversed. I see. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, it says extreme impact. But the bleeds are hold on. Bleeds in the image is 2 turns, and all of a sudden, all of the bleeds are gone. So Baiken's S3 removes all the current bleeds once the detonation is exploded. So okay, so only Baiken right now would have detonate. Okay, so I think I get it. So there's not much to speculate, right? You were telling me that what do I think about it? So there's no room to speculate. We already know exactly what it does. Oh, right, that's true. Yeah, it could be 15k for detonation and then 9k for the bleed, you mean? VPP? All right. Oh, when you were telling me the video wasn't even up yet? Wow, that... GG, man. Okay, hold on one second again. These guys, because, yeah, the timing of me making the video is very awkward. I think it's like people are releasing info while we're doing this. So, people, Epic 7. Okay. Okay, I see it. Yep. Cool. All right. So S3. I'm just watching it. I'm watching it on silence because I don't want to get flagged for using someone else's. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's sweet. That's sweet, man. All right. So, oh wow. Okay. So Baiken can do a ton of damage. That's insane. That's insane. She can. Okay. So, oh man. Then okay, that changes a lot because okay. So if Baiken can use her S3, let's say in PvP and GVG. If they don't, if you can land the bleeds, I think that's like, that's insane. That's gonna be a ton of damage. We don't, from the video itself, I don't think that we have. I don't think we have, what's it called? The mods for detonate, correct? Oh man, that's insane. So because she can do so many bleeds and it's multiple turns, so she's 2 turns for her bleed, and each one of those detonate thing is total number of debuffs. So okay, from the video itself, I don't think the defense debuff counts. So I watched the video. So there was a defense debuff on Banshee, but a ton of bleeds. So I don't think the total number of debuffs, there's no room to speculate whatsoever. So basically, it's additional damage after you use the skill that has detonate. So in this case, her S3. So S3 goes, and then it detonates all the bleed effects on whatever opponent for massive damage. And because of the debuffs turn remaining, also total debuff, you get an additional number. So at least in the video, there was was it counted 6 bleeds with 2 turns each. So whatever you do, whatever the mods are, that's 12 at least. We had a number 12 there times a question mark mod, which is incredibly strong. But based on the damage it did to Banshee, I'm just gonna assume that's gonna like one shot anyone in PvP or GVG. That's insane. That's insane. That really changes my thoughts on Baiken here. I think she's gonna be very, very good single target nuker as long as you can land the bleed though. So a conditional nuker. Holy crap. We can only assume that detonates the bleed for each turn. So I'm just reading the chat here. For artifact, you can have 4 bleeds with S3. Yes, with her artifact you can. So that's why I'm thinking that you want. No, I don't think so, Aline. I don't think so. Aline was just asking, then that brings up the question, should she need a critical hit damage? And that's what I was saying. I don't think you should build her for critical hit damage. For the initial strikes, it might be, but I'm pretty sure, again, I could be wrong, that the mods for her S1, S2, S3, they're not really super high. Because she's a bleed unit. Like, it would be insane if you have bleed and then have a super high mods. It just doesn't make any sense. That's just too broken. So I do think that scaling attack is probably highest priority for her. Critical hit 100%, scale attack high, and because she has high HP to boot, build her bruisery. So maybe like 10k to 12k HP, that's your goal. 12k HP is even a bit low. We're at like 15k HP meta right now. With her stats, she should be able to get that because Violet can get 16k HP pretty easily. But yeah, scale attack, scale critical hit chance, and maybe some speed and HP, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and effectiveness, of course. Super hard. But now that I'm thinking like this, I don't even think RNL is even that great. I really do think you really want her artifact here. 2-turn bleed, up to 100%. So, but it can stack on top of her skills. So even if you get at a level 1 of 50%, that can still benefit from it. So that's pretty cool. Anyways. Can you explain the detonate? Kind of confused about that. So you can watch the video for a better understanding of it, because you can see it happen in real time. If her artifact ignores resist, it doesn't ignore resist. I don't think it can ignore resist. but at least it's up to 100% because she doesn't have 100% bleed in her innate kit. So if you can, luckily enough, or maybe you ham on the artifact, get it up to 100%, that already does better than her S1, S2 by themselves. Because you'll always at least land 1 bleed if you can, you know, roll the effectiveness over the effect resistance. That's my thoughts on it, at least. But oh man, I really hope that when I'm pulling for her, I get lucky on the artifacts. I actually really want her artifacts. We know if artifacts ignore if you miss, so that's nice. Wait, if you miss, it lands? If you miss, the artifact lands? Cool, I think I really got it here. The artifact goes before the S3 detonation. That would be up to... Yes, it would. I believe so. Because that's at the end of the turn, right? So S3, the detonation happens at the end of the turn. Oh, violin works that way? Oh my goodness. So even if you miss, you can land it. Wow. Okay, change my thoughts on this. 100%, if you get the artifact, consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself lucky. Unless you're free to play and you really don't want to spend too much bookmarks on this. If you get the artifact before the hero, consider yourself lucky. This is one of those artifacts I think you really want. I would actually probably build her with this artifact if I get it over RNL, to be honest. Because the way I see it, at least if I'm using her for PvP, the way I see it, if you can proc the bleeds, it's over by the time you use the S3. So you don't really need RNL. And assuming that she has really low mods and you're not going for high critical hit damage, you're not gonna be like nuking out like two heroes, right? So RNL would be less beneficial. Yes, of course you reduce your turn count, etc. But I think this artifact is probably best for her. Before we knew the detonate, I would say RNL. But yeah, you want Torn Sleeve 100%? Yeah, I would agree. Dang, that's insane. All right, guys, I'm gonna end this session. This is, wow, what's been an hour? Wow, that's crazy. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I mean, by the time you guys are finished watching this video, the maintenance is probably already done. So hopefully this is giving you guys some thoughts on maybe how to build them. But expect a future build or a feature video from me on these collab units, and hopefully you guys get lucky on them. So I'm gonna end that there. So if you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next RBTL.